Hi, welcome to Savage's Reviews and Recommendations. In this video we're going to be talking about what to expect from 2023. I'm just going to talk about stuff that I'm looking forward to, such as TV shows, music and films. Just tell you what I'm looking forward to. Obviously this is what I know of at the moment and somewhat speculation. There's going to be a huge ton of stuff that I might miss throughout, but this is what I know so far and this is what I'm looking forward to. Alright, let's start with television. First, we have BMF Season 2. Really interested as I loved the first season. It was a real cool watch and I'm hoping the same for the second. Last of Us, the TV show. HBO look to have done a faithful adaptation from the trailer alone and can't wait to see a game adaptation that actually looks good. I have real high hopes for that show. The Boys Season 4. Now, this show has been nothing but greatness and I hope the fourth season is the same. The Boys spin-off, Gen V. Can't wait to see a school version of The Boys, wondering if it'll be more crazier than the original. You, Season 4. One of my most anticipation shows to see in 2023. I'm curious as to why its season has been split in two. I think it's either the last season of the show and they're doing somewhat like Ozark did, or they're doing what Stranger Things did, but hopefully without a 2-hour long episode. Bosch Legacy Season 2. Now, I've loved Bosch since its inception and this show is one of the very first seasons to deal with a cliffhanger, and so I can't wait to see how and what Bosch will do. Cobra Kai Season 6. What could be the last season of this Karate Kid franchise follow-up, and I hope they raise the stakes and I hope they make it just as crazy, hysterical, violent as it has been for the last 5 years. Power Book 2 Season 3. After a great cliffhanger of an ending, I can't wait to see Tariq get his way out of the situation he's unknowingly got himself into. Power Book 3 Season 3. I'm anticipating this show's return, hoping to see a war go down between the Italian mob and the Stark family along with other hustlers, as well as seeing Kanan becoming the infamous Kanan Stark we loved in the original Power series. Justified City Primeval. Somewhat a sequel show to which I'm both excited but worried at the same time, as while I do like the show, there's no real reason to bring it back. Velma. An interesting way to tell the story of the Scooby-Doo gang, really focusing on the horror aspect whilst also being very comedic. It's a take I'm curious to see. Ted prequel series. Since reading about this, I can't wait to watch, as this sounds awesome, as I really did enjoy the Ted films. I hope this will be just as, if not funnier, than the first two films. True Detective Season 4. Only just hearing about this and I'm really interested, as the first and third season were amazing pieces of television. I hope this season is no exception and possibly break the even numbers curse this show seemed to have. On to films. Ant-Man 3, possibly the only Marvel film I'm actually anticipating, and I really hope it's as funny yet cool as the previous two films. Babylon, a film which looks as if both Scorsese and Tarantino casted / directed. It looks really cool with a star-studded cast, whilst quite long and seeming like a box office bomb. I'm still very interested in watching. The Machine. Bert Kreischer is his own film, and honestly I can't wait. From the small teaser, it looked violent, but stupidly funny as well. Indiana Jones 5. As a fan of the originals, I have to watch, mainly to see if it's better than number 4, and if they kill Indy off, or try to continue the franchise with a younger actor. I'm hoping for the best on this, really. John Wick 4. The first 3 John Wick films looked amazing, so the fourth one shouldn't be anything less. Supposedly the last in the franchise, I want to see if John Wick gets out of this situation, or if he does. Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese's new film. I don't know much about it, but I have faith in Scorsese. He hasn't really let me down. Even The Irishman was somewhat decent. Luther the Movie. It's a film I want to do well, but if the last 2 seasons are to go by, it might be poorly written and somewhat cheesy. But I really do hope that this film is good. It brings back the Luther franchise. Next is Cocaine Bear. Just the title alone is hooking, but the trailer makes this film seem crazy, hysterical, but vastly interesting, all at the same time. Now onto music. First off, official albums we know about is College Park by Logic. This album was heavily promoted as Logic's return to rap, and it will be his first official independent album, so I can't wait to hear this project. But The release date is the most important question, as he's contracted to not release music for another 9 months. It's part of his leaving clause, and so after March 17th he's free, and I wonder if he's going to advertise and do a huge amount of promotion before dropping the album, or if on the day he is released from his contract he'll drop the album there. I really am hoping for the former, as I like a good album rollout. Unconfirmed Eminem album. Now, I've been putting this in since 2021. I loved his last album, and whilst he has been somewhat quiet when it comes to releasing albums, he's still been doing music, and I'm hoping maybe 3 years is enough for him to really put enough work and effort into a new album to release it into the public. Unlike some of the other artists I'm going to mention, Eminem is very inconsistent when it comes to dropping albums, and because of his new way of dropping albums, we'll never really know until the day it drops. Supposed Tyler the Creator album. Now, this is an artist who is very consistent. Ever since his first drop of his album Bastard, ever since, it's every 2 years he's dropped an album, and we got his last album 2021 approaching 2023, so this is, whilst somewhat speculation, there's a consistency around why I'm speculating. Really hope it's more of the rap variety than it was more Igor. I did like Igor, but Call Me If You Get Lost was such a superb album. Rumoured J. Cole album. Now back to inconsistency. J. Cole drops an album maybe 2 years or maybe 3. So it's really broad to kind of lock him down and go, okay, he does this. Now, his last album was The Off Season, and he has a somewhat plan. He is planning to retire with his last album called The Fall Off. We are hoping that he drops quite a lot of projects in between. He has had a photo he sent out listing off albums of what he's planned to do each year, and one of them was called It's a Boy. Now, if that's an album, I really hope and anticipate that it's this year. So there's a possibility it could be this year, but with J. Cole we never really know. There's also the possibility of more Logic albums. Logic, whilst has said about a million times College Park is coming out now, it's going to be 2023, we're going to get that album. What is more speculation, but there's a somewhat evidence around this, is Logic could be dropping more than one project this year. He has done it many times before in the past, and so this year I think it won't be an exception. There's evidence, whilst on tour, he's rapping on a lot of trap beats, which beats that sound very and completely different to the beats he was rapping on and the snippets we were hearing from College Park, and so I'm really interested in what this is. Next is Kendrick Lamar. Now, I know he took 5 years to drop Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and I don't think he was working on that album for 5 years. But I think there was probably something to do with his contract. Maybe he wasn't feeling creative like he stayed on the album. And maybe dropping this album and touring has probably put him back with energy, and the whole COVID situation's gone. Maybe he'll be back in the booth and maybe more rapping more. And so maybe there is a possibility we could get another Kendrick Lamar album this year. One can only hope. Next is Conway the Machine. Now, Conway the Machine usually drops quite a lot of music, and it's been odd as he only dropped one album last year, that being God Don't Make Mistakes, his Shady Records debut and his only album on Shady Records. I think that was a contract album, but again, he put hard work and effort into that, as we knew about this since 2019. It's taken him 3 years, so fair play to him. And I wonder if maybe he's going to drop a project in 2023, and maybe if he'll just drop one or if he'll drop more, as the man has dropped quite a lot of projects throughout the years. 2020 and 2019 are a great example of that. And last but definitely not least, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. Supposedly we're working on an album that was rumoured to come out in November, but I believe they're doing the last touches in November, and it's going to be released in next November, and it will be the 30th anniversary of the first album those two ever worked on, Doggy Style, and it's somewhat a sequel to it called Missionary. Definitely an album I'm looking forward to. That's all I'm looking forward to in 2023. Obviously, I feel like there's going to be a load more announcements. I believe that by the time we hit March or April, we're going to get a huge amount of announcements, whether it be film, TV or music. So my eyes could be peeled onto so many things, but those are the only things I know of so far. The rest is to come. Alright, hope you've enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you do. Have a good day.